Welcome back to Side Chat. This week, Wallace and I are going to discuss dogfighting, and our special guest is Jollyoldchap from the Bloody Red Squadron.
Hey there.
I thought it'd be a nice change of pace for us to, instead of tearing War Thunder and Gaijin apart, like we have the past 4 or 5 weeks, let's actually, try to build each other up as pilots. And I know it's pretty safe to say all three of us have been playing for over a year now.
Yeah, close to that.
About February, March, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so, and I know I'm about 10 times the pilot I was when I first started playing this game, probably more. I started out with negative KDR and arcade, because I knew nothing about world, dogfighting tactics, or the whole game was just based on head-on and collisions, as we all know from arcade.
Baby steps, really.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about the actual combat maneuvers or tactics per se. Walrus just released a whole video series on his channel. Was it 3 or 4 videos you released?
It's 3. Offensive, defensive, and squad-based 2v1 tactics.
And so that's
when
gonna
you choose to use squadron tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go more in depth than we can go in here, but there's also a lot of other YouTubers that have good guides out there as well. So the material is out there if you want to become a better pilot. You just have to use the old Google and search for it. The first couple months I played, I was an arcade player, and then Walrus drug us into historical battle, and it's so different from arcade to historical. But I find that most people who make that jump kind of stay in RB now, then instead of going back to arcade. But it's that initial kind of learning curve that you have to get over before you enjoy RB.
Yeah, you and Kobe hated realistic battles first time I dragged you into that, but that was during the Dora spam days, so I can see why.
Yeah, 1.29 Dora.
It's like a slight byproduct of playing in arcade. You just seem to have this built-up level of stress, and when you finally get to RB, it all gets released, and you have this misguided conception that you hate RB. So.
Well, arcade there's so much action. You get air spawns. You don't have to climb. You can do anything with your airplane. There's no flight models. It's go dine your 7 airplanes in 15 minutes versus a RB match where you have 1 plane for 20 minutes and you might get 2 kills. But the amount of skill and focus and the tense action, I guess, of RB is where the hook is, I guess, for us.
There's a lot of pre-planning to be done before you actually get to the engagement itself.
So the first thing that, at least what I personally suffered with, was trying to understand the balance of altitude and speed and how it relates to RB. Because I just said, and let's face it, in arcade, speed and altitude literally means nothing in arcade. Your planes can prop hang, all that crap. What I mean by that is that you have to have altitude and RB to be successful for the most part, because altitude and speed just go hand in hand. If you have high speed, you can regain your altitude. If you have high altitude, you can make speed happen. It's just a balance between both, and learning where your plane, where that threshold is between your wings breaking off and your performance and your rolling capabilities and whatnot. Lars, do you have any, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I guess you explain a lot in your videos about yo-yos and whatnot.
Everything's about energy fighting. Even with turn fighters like the Zero and everything, you gotta manage your energy correctly. You can't have too much energy sometimes with those types of fighters, but you also have to have enough energy to be the angle fighter. That's a better word for it, that you should be. You have to have enough energy but not too much.
And the whole point of altitude is, like I said, you have to climb to be successful, and it's not whole climbing where first 1 to 3 1,000 feet, but you have 0 room to work if you're 1,000 feet or lower on the deck, because you have no room to dive and you have no airspeed.
Yeah, it's regardless of what plane you're in.
And real quickly, you want to explain what is the best? One of the things I think people struggle with is, what is the best rate to climb at, and it's not the same for every airplane. And if you want to explain how, what's the typical rate they should be climbing at, and how do they know if they should be climbing at a higher rate or a lower rate using the virtual HUD?
I don't climb at angles. It's different for I climb at speeds, and I go to indicated air speeds, so I know exactly how fast I am at every altitude. But
There's a definite balance between the angle you climb at and the speed. I mean, it's not necessarily a case of climbing at all like 30 degrees, which certain aircraft can do even in RB. Bearcat to name one.
yeah.
But yes, it's a definite balance. So you can't be going too slow because it's just inefficient. You end up just prop hanging if you're not being careful. And obviously, if you're just at too low an angle, you're not at a suitable altitude when you get to the engagement area.
And I'll try to explain this quickly, but I mean, originally when I was in realistic battles, I was trying to find the best angle to climb at, and people would tell me like, oh, 15 degrees, 20 degrees, and 30 degrees, like you said. But that's not really the way to go about it because airplanes, naturally, the maneuvers get slower and more loose. Everything gets a little bit looser and slower as you get higher in altitude, and that's why I use IAS, so I know exactly how fast I am relative to the wind moving over my wings. So I climb at IAS, and usually for most planes I'm about 260, 270. For really light wing loading planes like biplanes and zeros, you can climb more close to just 200 kph. That gives you an idea.
And to tell everybody real quick, if you don't have your HUD in the top left of your corner set on IAS, you need to do that right now. Because at high altitude, you may be thinking you're going 180 mph or 200 meters, whatever. In reality, you're stalled out. There's such a big difference between low altitude and high altitude, and IAS is the only way to really know how your airplane's reacting at different altitudes.
Yeah, it's an incredibly simple thing that a lot of people just overlook, and you do notice it, especially obviously in the lower tiers where people haven't quite realised that they don't manage their speed quite as they should or as they really need to, because obviously, as you said, there's a big difference at higher and lower altitudes which they haven't accounted for.
And a lot of people always raging at me because they think they're going so fast. They're at 30,000 feet. They think they're going like 600 or 600 kph or something, but they're actually going closer to 300, 400 in reality. So yeah, switch to IAS if you want to properly fight at altitudes.
Miles per hour. Miles per hour is better than kilometers an hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna have a big battle here between the metric and the Imperial system right now, because I refuse to use metric because
I cannot switch.
I drive an Imperial. I know how fast airplanes go in real life in Imperial. I know how correct altitudes in Imperial. So, sorry. I know I get yelled at all the time in YouTube channel. Like you saw it today, chap. Somebody's yelling at me about using feet and MPH. It's like, I'm sorry. It's what I know. That's what I grew up on. Blame America at public education.
You think you're bad off? I'm using feet and kph.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of guys use a weird kind of a hybrid, a mix of you have like feet for altitude and like whatever kilometers an hour or meters and miles per hour, which I use. It's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you can relate to the best, and just use that.
For offensive tactics, like I said, refer to the videos because there's so many of them out there that you can do. But the main way I realized to become a better attacker is to have a mindset of not necessarily going, okay, I'm gonna boom and zoom this guy. You need to think a step or two after that. After I boom and zoom him, I'm gonna pull up and I'm gonna fly this direction, or as I dive through this guy, I'm gonna continue diving behind, like past. You need to think ahead 2 to 3 steps, and I started really learning that when I started flying jets. That to survive, you have to have a plan when you attack. You can't just react to what your enemy does. If the guy churns, if he zoom climbs, whatever, just keep on your plan, because you can do something really stupid if you react to what your opponent does.
A reactive game style is definitely the hallmark of an arcade player. You always reacting to your surroundings rather than taking the initiative yourself and planning up ahead, as you're saying.
Yeah, well, offense, you want to, and this is something Lars and I've been talking about recently, is whoever can engage and disengage at will with airspeed and altitude has such a bigger upper hand than the guy who is in a turn fight with somebody else. Because you can't trust, especially War Thunder flight modes, you can't trust, if you say a 109 in the Spitfire, I know how both these planes turn in real life, you're going to get your ass handed to you because that's not War Thunder. But if you have altitude and airspeed, it doesn't matter usually what plane's below you, you're going to win. And if you have the plan to keep the airspeed and altitude, you still have the upper hand.
Yep, flight models are not perfect, and Kobe always complains about that. He knows what he claims he knows what the aircraft should do in real life, but he can't do that in game. So don't rely on that. But I do have one question. What do you guys mean by reactive game? Like reactive?
I was gonna get to that in a minute.
playstyle?
Go ahead.
Well, when I talk about reactive, I'm saying like, okay, if I paint a situation, you're in a Spitfire, so say I don't know, a LF Mark 9, tier 4, and you've got a Dora in front of you, and he just goes in for a dive. Now you've got to think to yourself, is it just the best thing? I go straight for the dive, go chasing, or should I maintain my altitude, see where he goes? Is there any enemies? So it's that kind of forward thinking. So you don't just follow him blindly.
Yeah, I'd call
Think
it more
about the
like
other possibilities.
yeah, I'd call that more like single-minded or like tunnel vision playstyle more than reactive, because you're still reacting even if you react smartly. Like if you go back up, get your altitude back, and just keep your advantage over him, that's still reacting. That's just reacting in a smarter way.
That's a good point, actually.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, keep it. Like, if a guy pulls a split S, and you go, oh god, he did split S, and then you roll your aircraft over at high speed and try to roll with him. That's what I mean by that's like,
Gs.
yeah, but you're reacting to what he did instead of just going, if you do a boom and zoom and the shot is there or not there, and you go up regardless. That's what I mean by not reacting. I mean, your flight plan is, predetermined before the attack.
Yeah, I'll just say just don't get tunnel vision. Don't just be single-minded like that. Yeah.
Now for defensive tactics, and this is where I think I am a better dogfighter. All I do is react. And the only thing you kind of have to sit there and you go, okay, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? And if he does this, then that's when you want to learn how to react either by churning or and personally, for anybody who just started RB, learn the split S. That thing has saved my life thousands of times at this point. It works 99% of the time. The only other 1% it doesn't work is because I either get broadsided by some other idiot or, it's a UFO. But learning how to react to how you're being attacked and then just being loose and be fluent and just be, I guess, kind of creative on how you pitch and roll. Well, don't roll up, never do that, but I'm trying to say like spiral, barrel roll, just be creative, hook different moves up to each other to keep him guessing.
Yeah, never make yourself a predictable target. I mean, like, you see it in lots of videos. I mean, like Ram JB, he's done all these sorts of things. Bismarck, so it's not enough to just simply break in one plane. Don't just go in the horizontal, mix it up, involve the vertical, do some rolls, do some maneuvers, just to keep him second guessing and throw off his aim for that little bit longer.
Yeah, that's if you're already in the defensive. That if you're on the offensive, there's no need to.
Yeah, I'm talking about defensive completely now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about whenever somebody, whenever your ass is in trouble or somebody's diving on you, you don't want to be predictable. That is the last thing you want to be. And especially if somebody's boom and zooming you repeatedly and you keep, pulling to the left 4 times, the 5th time he's going to go, all right, I'm just going to put my, crosshairs here and wait for him to cross there. You have to switch it up or else you're screwed. The last thing about defensive too is you also need to learn where your team is and where your ground assets are too. AA, ships, even people are killing bots. Drag. If you have an idiot teammate killing bots, drag the guy chasing you into that guy and let him kill the guy who's killing bots, so you can get free and turn around.
Yeah, I have an explanation of a dragon bag on my newest video if you guys want to watch that. But that's what I was about to say is the most important thing in defensive flying is just your teammates. Because if an enemy's already behind you, then that shouldn't have happened. There's not much you can do. You can get lucky. You can try different things, and maybe you'll make him overshoot or something. But if the pilot is really good, you're not going to shake him. But having teammates is always a good plan, and that's something that always will work if you know how to do it right.
I mean, even if they're not actively trying to look out for you, even their presence being there will always divert some of the attention of the enemy. So they'll always be looking over their shoulders, so to speak.
Yeah, for example, with the random teammates thing, you don't have to necessarily be like squatted up with somebody or on comms with them to actually use squad tactics. You can, with a completely random guy, if you have someone on your tail, just drag them to your teammates and give them a good angle and easy shot on the guy that you're dragging, and that's squad play right there.
Maybe I'm a bad teammate because if I got a guy on me, I'll drag him to my teammate, let him kill the teammate, and then get free and kill that guy. If my teammate's not paying attention to what the hell's going on, you're a sacrificial lamb. But then again, I am kind of a douchebag, so
You have your own maneuvers and
I do.
tactics.
That's why I said. That's why I brought in these two guys, because I have a whole different book I play War Thunder by, evidently. So. One thing I did want to bring up though is the head-ons. And it seems like it's gotten really bad since the new year. I don't know why people do this 62% of the time. We'll make up that random stat. 62% of the time, I don't know why people do this. Especially when I see P-36 Hawks, P-shooters. You see people do head-ons and Catalinas, for Christ's sake,
Yeah, why
and
not YOLO?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, there's a million things you can do, especially German players or anybody really who will dive. They'll have 5,000 feet of altitude on you and will purposely, instead of flying past you and looping back and boom and zooming you, they'll just dive down and greet you in a head-on. And it just
not a good situation to be in.
It's a bad habit. Don't do it unless there is occasions where it's okay. But when you're 5 minutes into a match and you see 6 airplanes at you and you're like, well, screw it, and you head straight in and blow up and die, it's useless. You hurt your team. You might as well not have been on your team. You're a waste of space if that's what your only move is a head-on.
Yeah, my biggest I was laughing my ass off about it a few days ago. Was I was flying out the mosquito, and I have 4 20mm cannons and 4 machine guns in the nose. And there was a Spitfire Mark 9, the LF Mark 9 Premium in front of me, and above me, like significantly higher than me, much higher energy state than me. There's no way I was gonna catch him. I was already stalling basically, and he could have easily just pitched up, done a rope-a-dope. I was already stalling. He could just bounce me and been done with me. But instead, he loses all of his altitude, heads straight in, like tally-ho, directly towards me. Doesn't just zero fucks given. Goes head on with me, and I took him out because he was being stupid, and I have more firepower than him.
I have to bring up all the stupid DuckTales and Duck HS2129, duck videos we do. The plane is 160, 170 mph. It can barely fly as it is. It can't churn, it can't pitch, it can't do all these things. But yet we kill Bearcats. You got a MiG-9 ones? So fucking
What?
Yeah.
I refuse to believe a MiG-9
Mustangs
can be that stupid.
I got him from behind. I chased him down with my duck, actually.
But the point is that if you have a plane like a fucking Duck who has a 30mm 220s and some lovely machine guns on there too, and the plane can't really move that well, can't retain, the Duck can't do anything, and you're in a Mustang and you're like, oh, I'm gonna head on this guy, you're an idiot. And I have too much proof of this on the channel.
Yeah, the head-on pass can occasionally be a good idea if that's pretty much your only option, as I stated before, like against the Spitfire and a Mossy. But if literally the only way a plane is going to kill you is if you go head-on with him, like as in the Duck's case, why would you do it?
Yeah,
just think through it a little bit.
It's also a case like when people actually do that, it's a bit of like a bad positive reinforcement. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but they get that one taste of getting that head-on kill, and they're just hooked on it. They're like, yeah, this is a valid tactic. It's okay. It's a valid tactic, but it's a last-ditch tactic.
I do head-ons because I'm just an angry human being and I want to kill people violently. That's you'll see me if you see me in game, you'll see me do head-ons. But
and Kobe especially does head-ons.
Kobe will try a ram-on, try the head-on, miss you, and ram you through his cockpit, and then he'll immediately type in the chat, "You ram me." So
every time.
Feel free to call him a douche if you see him out in the game.
And then cocks a gun.
But the other one that I want to bring up is prop hanging. Just drives me up through the roof. And some people can be successful with prop hanging because you're in a UFO like a Spit Mark 9 or something that can do it. But for the most part, yeah. But for the most part, you prop hang, it gives your plane you're a huge ass target for anybody who's flying level because your plane is now 10 times the target area to hit. You have no airspeed, you have no controllability. You're just screwed. But people do this all the time, and I scratch my head as this isn't arcade. You prop hang, you die, and then you continue the prop hang all the way to tier 4 or even jets. I've seen jets prop hang. So I guess that's thrust hang or boost. Turbine hang? Is that what we're gonna come up with? I don't know.
I guess so.
Hanging in the air.
Stalling. I guess it would be called stalling is the actual correct term, but
zoom climbing. Yes, not really.
But the last thing would bring up is the wingman tactics. You don't have to. That's a phone. Um, you don't have to have a wingman you're talking to, even in TeamSpeak or over in voice or even in your squadron. Just fly near somebody. Choose somebody and fly near them. The U.S. military built a whole buddy system for this, where you always keep 2 U.S. planes near each other for a reason, full maneuvers, and just for how am I trying to say it? To look like the biggest bully in the fight. If you're one plane and I see another plane, I go, sweet, it's 1-on-1. We're gonna have a good dogfight. If it's 2-on-1 already, I go, fuck. Like the odds are already on my favor, and it, how I put it, it keeps people from picking on you, kind of in a fight. But you can also dictate somebody's there to back you up in case somebody else wants to jump on you. If that makes any sense. How I'm trying to say this.
It's a bit of a safety net.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, people will pick out what they see as the weakest threat,
and
if
ignore the stronger one.
Yeah, and if they see like 6 guys in a group up high, and they see one guy down low by himself, who do you think they're gonna go for?
Absolutely. You see 5 Mustangs over here. You see one Mustang 30,000 feet on the other side of the map. Everybody's gonna do a U-turn and go for you if you're the one Mustang on the side of the map. There's safety in numbers.
Although you have to be dangerous of not following a lemming train. Just falling off a cliff and dying, basically.
Like TVLF. Just kidding.
Yeah. No, we're not. So the last part, just be a good team player, and that means dragging for other players, hitting the freaking X button and spotting people. This drives me nuts since the new patch too. People are not spotting, and they say, I need help, I need help, I need help. And I'm like, I see maybe one dot over there. By the time I fly over there 10 minutes later, he has 6 guys boom and zooming him, and then I'm screwed because I didn't even know what I was getting into. Hit X because your team, it shows the enemy where the enemy is to your team. It's just a nice thing to do.
I mean, it's middle mouse button. Yeah.
Well,
What do you mean by that?
Switch from target to target, basically.
Yeah,
using the X button.
Oh yeah. You have to
There's
actually.
X button default.
Yeah, I actually just recently learned that. I originally thought, even just a couple months ago, that if you spotted an enemy, they would be spotted for your team. But you actually have to put your target over them to spot them for your whole team.
That's a huge help to your team. Its information is always valuable in combat, and Fog of War, if you can get rid of that, that's a huge, advantage to your teammates. And then kill stealing. And this is the part that pisses me off about War Thunder. War Thunder is a game about grinding and research points and all that shit. And if you can be the perfect teammate and walk away from a game with 2,000 lions and 8 research points because you did everything right, but since you weren't actively being the ace, you get screwed over. And so that has that kind of mentality of, oh, there's an airplane with 3 fires on them, but I need research points, so I'm going to dive in and, instead of, even we've seen this too, when there's a whole dogfight going and there's a 109 on a Spitfire, and the Spitfire's killing a 109, instead of killing the third 109 on the Spitfire, the idiot will go for the first 109 to make sure he gets a kill in his research points and not help his teammate and screw over the team. And it's just War Thunder, but it has to be the player's choice to be better in that.
I'm usually a fairly calm player, but if I'm shooting at a guy, if one guy's in front of me and I'm actively pursuing him, and I've got 2 or 3 more guys on my tail, and I see someone going for the guy that I'm shooting at, and no one's going at the guys that's behind me, I may or may not team kill you if you do that.
It's just a vile situation.
It's a terrible way to play. It's just logic. You're gonna die if either way. If you want a free kill, yeah, sure, go ahead. But you're gonna get killed by the same guys that are just about to kill me. So you might as well work as a team. You still get a kill, and there's no reason to keep teams. There's no reason to kill steal.
And if you want to see International Kill Stealing Convention, go to those event weekends where they're giving away something free.
Oh yeah, like Eagles or something or other. I mean,
Eagles, Free Stalin Cobra. That was a great weekend.
It's actually a great point you brought up. It's this old topic again, the ground forces challenges. I think we all know where this topic's going to go.
I'm face palming right now.
Right mess.
Never seen so much ramming, team killing, cursing, and overall.
It was just vile. Just vile.
I gave up after the first week.
I mean, there's also a problem with team killing that at least we'll probably cover it in next week's podcast with the squadrons. This links into that a little bit. It's just if you're part of a squadron, avoid team killing because seriously, brings a bad name, a bad reputation to your own squadron. BRS have a real problem with this. I won't make any bones about that, and it's something that we are looking to rectify slowly. But spend a couple of extra seconds, think about it. Clear the immediate threat from your teammate, and that will almost certainly force the other bogies to break off, seeing that they're being targeted as well.
Don't worry about Tubular. We have no standards, so I don't know.
My job is secured.
Well, like I said, at War Thunder, it's not all about KDR, and that's what. And to be a better community, be a better player, you got to realize it's not about KDR; it's about wins.
That's a big point right there, actually. Do not just focus on KDR. Play smartly. The smart player doesn't always have the best KDR. The person with the best KDR is the guy that you see going straight into the map, killing the bots, going back home, and coming back and taking leftovers on the guys that actually did work. So
I feel like you're pointing me out on a certain
he got away
game.
from attacking AI.
Yeah, that was exactly what. Okay. Yeah,
We won't get into that story for now.
Okay, well, that'll be for later.
But to a newer player who's getting into RB, the one thing I want to bring up was, and this is how I became a better RB player, was find a plane you like and just stick with it for a while and master it. Learn its, where its flaws are, where its advantages are. Every plane matches up in one way or another. Just stick with something and fly it for a while. And for me, it was the Typhoon Mark 1B. That thing, and what was that, Wars?
Nothing.
I know. I was kind of cheap, but I had a really good KDR, and I learned a lot about dogfighting in that plane. And you learn how to use a plane, and that's how you become a better dogfighter. Is when you master a plane and not be somebody who jumps from plane to plane to plane to plane to plane and just kind of be average at all of them.
That's true. Don't be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I want to bring up. I've seen so many of this new RP system. There's a lot of lower tier players that buy a premium P63A10 King Cobra for Russia, or they buy the Spit Mark 9 for America, or they buy this or that, and they grind through one research tree all the way to the meteors or the sabers or this or that and the other, and then they don't have. We were forced to almost grind for a year to get most of the jets because that was the way the old research system was. But we became better dogfighters because we were stuck in the early tiers for longer and the medium tiers and so on. So we kind of mastered dogfighting. So when you got to jets, you were ready. And I see so many bad jet pilots out there. Take your time and enjoy the lower levels. Enjoy Chaikas, enjoy Kingfishers, all that shit. Because the jets, this isn't a game that's in game. This was all, each kind of era of World War II has its beauty of dogfights. And just don't think that because you have a jet, you're paying to win.
Yeah. It's a shame because it is a trend that you notice. You talk to the more experienced people in the game who've been here for longer, like Bo, Walrus, some other guys in TBLF, and this point will come up. They see like, oh yeah, premium pilot. He obviously must be some new idiot who hasn't actually bothered to learn the game. He just heard, okay, this plane's OP. I don't need to expend any effort into learning the game or trying to be good at it. I'll just get what I want, get to jets, have my fun.
I'll say this. In the past 4 months, I've not seen one American Spitfire Mark 9 premium player that I went, damn, that's a good pilot. They're all crap. Like, even though that plane's overperforming, just because you're bad at this game, you can't pay to win. No plane is going to magically have radar locking 20mm Espandos and kill everybody for you. There's no pay to win in War Thunder. You have to invest in yourself.
Apart from the Japanese.
Japanese
pilots seeking late. Sorry, I'm interrupting. But seriously, you Japanese pilots, you're the scum of this game. I'll say that now.
I'm gonna find my one gay later, so.
But the premium Spitfire and the A6M5 code get pretty close to the missile launching.
Right, but
radar.
If you're still a bad player who just played this game, started last week, you're still gonna suck an A6M5 co. You still have to put the time in to learn how to do this stuff.
Yeah, well, you might want to edit out the bit where I called Japanese players scum.
No, that's it. You're in.
What you said, it's in.
Last thing on then I see this a lot, and I see this in other YouTubers. I see this in my own squadron. Be a better gunner. Be good at deflection shooting. Learn how to be. How I put this. Learn where to shoot your guns, when to shoot your guns, and how to shoot your guns. And what that means is that in a turn fight, you need to learn how to deflection shoot, and that means shooting way in front of your target, depending on airspeed and distance. When you're chasing somebody at higher speeds, 300 mph or plus, you need to learn that you have to be closer to somebody to kill them when at the higher airspeeds, especially in jets. Jet games, you want to shoot much closer than you would in a pea shooter, and just because of the airspeed difference. And so you can launch, what is it, custom battles? You can easily launch with a bunch of bots and even practice this stuff and just take your time without, getting your ass handed to you in a real game. But just learning where to shoot in this game is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah, I would usually say learning how to actually fly is more important than gunnery, but it's really just about good practice, like just shooting when you're actually close to your target, not just firing at them from kilometers away or a mile away or whatever and just learning how to deflection shoot against faster targets, slower targets, learning where to lead, and that's just good practice, and you should really get good at that because in realistic battles it's very competitive with the mouse aim. So
One of my favorite things about World War II is when I learned about the Polish pilots that fought for the RAF. One of their rules was don't shoot unless you're within 100 meters of your enemy. In this game, you're shooting at I try to aim between 1,000 and 2,000 feet as a max. But the real good pilots of World War II were the ones who got right on somebody's ass and buried their guns into somebody.
yeah, they were also not shooting with mouses, but
I know. Well, I know. Mouse aim changes everything. I'm just saying that if you want, use less ammo and get more consistent good kills, you need to find that sweet spot, and usually that sweet spot's closer than further away.
yeah, that's actually why I changed my philosophy a little bit. I'm trying to get better at shooting now because a lot of people are out gunning me, basically. I'm out flying them, but they happen to shoot better than me.
Or they just spray the crap out of you,
Well, yeah,
which I have seen a lot.
The last thing I want to say is find a good squadron. Find somebody that you, people that you relate to, people that you, I guess how I say, your personalities match and whatnot, and find people that are more experienced to you and just hang around them. Ask questions, follow them around, and just learn from better players to make you a better player.
Yeah, don't be afraid to just, I know a lot of the squadrons, including BRS, maybe TBLF, they have certain requirements, and that's so as to ensure that you don't end up with a bunch of nublets, which is neither entertaining for the new person nor is it entertaining for the more experienced people who are having to fly with this person. So
that's absolutely true. With TBLF, we stopped recruiting for the most part because we just had a lot of people come in that didn't fit our personalities and it made drama and whatnot. And that's online gaming, period. You have that clan mentality anywhere you go. But trust me, if you look around and especially if you're in a game and you have a good game with somebody, just talk them up. If they have a clan tag and just see, it's the internet. You have chat box, you can team speak. Just try to find a good squadron and latch onto them and just learn. Because there's a huge difference between solo play and a 4-man squad.
yeah.
I'm more inclined to say that the level of skill or experience is less important than just like personalities matching up. Because I'm willing to fly out with someone that's brand new to the game or is terrible and actually teach them as long as they're not just obnoxious or something.
That is true, actually. It's like anything in this game, we can talk. Really, it's just a combination of multiple factors. I mean, we're talking about people here that we're going to fly with. It's personality, it's skill level, it's experience. It's all these things. It's not just one singular thing you want to look at. It's a similar thing with flying. You can improve your gunnery skills, but you can't just focus on that. You have to improve your flying skills, your tactics, the way you think. It's all these things rolled into one, basically.
The last thing I want to bring up is just have fun. Like, if you're having a bad night, just walk away, play something else, do something else, read a book, watch TV. Like, this game seems to come, at least for me, in spells, where there'd be one night I'll get 4 kills to 5 kills to 3 kills, and just have a great night. Next day I'll get on and I just lose. No matter what I fucking try, I lose. And, if you're not having fun, just don't play it. Seriously. I know it's a grind, but still, don't torture yourself over this.
And do not be like me and Bo and keep playing after several upwards of 10 losses and 0 kills in games.
It does not get better. For some reason, it's just if you're on a bad streak, you will be on a bad streak.
It sets you up and it becomes a vicious cycle, basically.
I think that about
multiplayer
wraps it up
games.
for us. So if you want to learn more about dogfighting, like I said, check out Walrus's channel for his new content. And you're still recruiting at BRS, right, chap?
Yeah, we are still. Check us out, and please, for the love of God, read the requirements. Jeez, you don't know how many people just keep applying without reading the fucking requirements. Read the damn things, people.
What he means is go to their website and apply today without reading anything.
Private message him too. Just say I went in.
Constantly,
right.
incessantly.
Stalk me.
But next week I'm actually going to be it's going to be our first Star Citizen podcast, and then we're going to have Jollyoldchap back on in the future to talk about actual squadrons. I'm hoping in 1.39 there actually be a squadron patch, and then we can talk about that then, as you know, as it relates to BRS and TBLF. For those who don't know who Star Citizen is, it's a space simulation that I have a few videos on the Bowtime channel about. And they're actually going to be releasing their dogfighting module, oddly enough, next month about this time. So, after that, we'll retrain our focus back on War Thunder as the new content about patches 1.39, and I believe they're calling Ground Forces 1.41 now. But as those things get closer, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about then. Until then, just try to become a better pilot, fly smarter, and use a wingman.